Today I'm going to make white chocolate, and the ingredients I'm going to use are cocoa butter, sugar, and milk powder. Let's get started. Alrighty, so we've got 200 grams of cocoa butter, and what we need to do first is melt it. I'm just going to put it in my double boiler and just melt them. Alrighty, the cocoa butter's melted, so now I'm going to add 200 grams of sugar. As a side note, every so often I did turn back on the heat on the pot, but I didn't leave it on long enough so that it would start steaming, because that steam could risk ruining the chocolate. I just realized I messed up. The particles in the granulated sugar are big enough that it's too big to dissolve, which is why they use a melanger to crush it, and I thought I could just dissolve it. What I need to do is start over and use powdered sugar. Because it's powdered, the particles should be small enough that it should be able to just dissolve and mix it in, and we should be good. Okay, time to re-add the 200 grams of cocoa butter and let it remelt. Alrighty, now we're gonna add 200 grams of powdered sugar. And hopefully it goes better than the granulated sugar, because that just clumped up and didn't do anything. Notice I'm smashing the powdered sugar against the sides. That's supposed to help it unclump. I guess I could have sifted it. That probably would have been smart. Alrighty, so it's not perfect, but it's probably about as good as it's gonna get, just because I forgot to declump the powdered sugar. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add the powdered milk and mix it together and try to get it to, I don't know what's gonna happen to it, so we're gonna see what happens. Alrighty, so the milk powder is mixed in. I have a feeling it's gonna be I have a feeling the chocolate's gonna have a really rough texture, but. Okay, time for another Temper Time Random Rambles. So I recently watched this movie series called Mythic Cuts. There's 5 movies, and they are so bad. Mars Attacks would be ashamed to call it a B movie. That's how bad it was. Basically, it follows this young magician who's named Merrick as she goes about trying to defeat this evil necromancer who's trying to take over the world by raising the undead. Something like in the second movie, we learn that Merrick herself is actually a natural-born necromancer, and so the magic that she's using is this evil magic, and so she has to work to overcome and defeat this great evil while not succumbing to the evil within her. And all in all, like, the acting isn't terrible, but the script is just so whack, and the fight scenes are just pathetic. Like, she has this friend, his name is Thane, who's this warrior, and at one point Thane is fighting the soldier, and the soldier goes and he swings his sword at him, and Thane blocks the sword, doesn't even swing back, doesn't hit the dude at all, and the guy just falls down dead. It's like, what did you die from? Embarrassment of being in this movie? It's just so weird. And then at the end, there's the big climax where the evil necromancer has this ultimate power, and the only way to defeat him is by wielding the super power magic hammer of one of the gods, and she gets it. When she goes in for the final swing to hit this magical object, it's this big epic swing, and then it cuts in to right when it hits the object, this heart, magic heart, basically. It just barely taps the magic heart, and you're like, what the heck? Where did all the momentum go? Then as soon as the hammer touches this magic heart, the bad guy goes poof, and there's smoke, and you're like, well, that was kind of anticlimactic. I wonder, okay, I guess everything's good now. And then all of a sudden it cuts to this dude who's just the bad guy's just kind of melting and screaming dramatically. You're like, shouldn't have that happened 2 seconds ago before he went poof? It was just really, really weird, and the scripting was painful, and half of the first movie is just them walking around trying to look epic, and it's just weird. And it barely makes sense. It's not worth watching. Okay, time to pour in the molds and see what happens. Alrighty, so I just got back from work in the gym. So it's been about 10 hours since we poured the chocolate in the molds, and now this is what it looks like. They firmed up really, really nicely. There's some discoloration, there's some blooming in the white chocolate because I didn't temper it properly. I was too impatient, but it's all right. We'll try it and we'll see how it tastes. As I've stated before, I think it's gonna have a kind of a rough texture just because of the milk powder. And how I would avoid that next time would be to find either finer grain milk powder or grind this one down, but looks great. Let's give it a taste. Yeah, it's got a really great taste, but a really, really rough texture. Also, this is kind of a thick bar, so it's hard to take a bite out of initially. Yeah, so if I were to use this milk powder again to make white chocolate, I'd either have to make it in the melanger and let it pour like a day, or get a finer milk powder. Otherwise, I'd say it's about a 50% success. Remember, life's better when it's sweet.